I wanted to discuss some of the cheapest countries in the world with you. Not only the cheapest, but also the countries with some of the highest qualities of life that you can have for not too much money. Let's get started talking about Morocco. The country located in Northern Africa is a country that has a lot of strategic benefit. What do I mean by that? First of all, in terms of proximity to Europe, Morocco is a great deal. You can cross into Europe by ferry. It's roughly a 1 hour to 90-minute ferry ride, relatively inexpensive. You can get there for as little as like 40 to 50 euros. So definitely interesting to somebody who wants to be very close to Europe and not, spend a lot of money to actually go to Europe to have some diversity in life. So I think it's good for that. Secondly, Morocco is a former colony of France. People in Morocco, they are not really super strict when it comes to a lot of stuff, and I'm not referring to Muslim countries. Morocco is a relaxed Muslim country, because of the French influence the country received in the past. It's relatively relaxed in many ways. Women have received more rights in recent years. Plus, it's pretty easy to get by with French or English, especially in the largest cities. So there isn't really a need to learn Arabic. Just saying, if you want to live there, there isn't really a need to learn Arabic, even though it would help you with a lot of everyday things. And now the country is even considering, changing a lot of the things that are now in place in French to English, because French isn't used that much anymore, and the locals see little to no benefit to using French. So there's a chance that certain things will be changed to English, which of course will make it much easier for foreigners, for international investors to actually go to Morocco and get by with just English. Morocco is actually a great place because it is diverse. Morocco even has ski resorts. Sounds weird because you think like, okay, it's in Northern Africa, it's a desert. Well, that is true and also not true. Southern Morocco is pretty dry. There is a desert, but then also in the northern part, it's actually pretty green, and you have ski resorts. So it's actually quite diverse in many ways. In terms of cost of living, Morocco is relatively inexpensive, unless you want to live in Rabat or Casablanca, which happen to be the two most expensive cities in Morocco. But generally, you can get a 1-bedroom apartment for as little as just $200 to $300 a month, for even less than that, depending on what standards you're willing to give up on. If you want more of like a modern style apartment, that has 24-hour security, then obviously it will be more expensive, right? If you want to have a swimming pool, if you want to be in a nice compound, then of course you're going to pay a lot more than if you're willing to live like a local person, and get by with a lot less. So I think Morocco is a great deal. Within a 2 to 3 hour flight, you're pretty much anywhere in Europe. And like I said, you can cross by ferry, which is relatively inexpensive. The locals are very friendly, so it has a lot of pros. The Dominican Republic is a country that hasn't received a whole lot of credit. It is an island in the Caribbean. It's pretty open, very liberal visa policy, meaning, you can go to the Dominican Republic, legally overstay your visa and pay an overstay fee up in your departure, which isn't really something that is offered by a whole lot of countries. It's gotten more rare in recent days, but I think the Dominican Republic is a good deal. First of all, the weather is great. So if you want to get out of the cold weather, if you don't like winters, you want to go to the Dominican Republic, spend a couple months there per year. I think it is a good deal. You can live, with as little as $1,000 a month. It won't be a lavish lifestyle that you can buy for $1,000 a month, but it will be relatively good, for what you're getting. So I think it's good for that. So the liberal visa policy, a definite plus in the Dominican Republic. Also the proximity to North America. So, in many cases, it's just, a 2 to 4 hour flight, depending on where you're traveling to. Flight tickets aren't that expensive, and it just has a lot of value. So if you like tropical beaches, I think the Dominican Republic is great. There are some downsides, of course, like the hurricane season, a definite downside of living in the Dominican Republic. You can become a citizen of the Dominican Republic by making an investment in local real estate. Obviously, also, in case you want to marry a Dominican man or woman, that would be another way for you to get in. Obviously, a lot cheaper than purchasing real estate. But generally speaking, I think the Dominican checks a lot of the boxes that people need in order to relocate to another country. Romania is a very different country. It offers 4 seasons, definitely cheap in terms of cost of living. You can live on as little as $600 to $700 a month in Romania. Again, it won't be a very lavish lifestyle that you can get with $600 to $700. The good part about Romania is that, generally speaking, I would say that the quality of life that you can get for what you're paying is pretty good. Meaning that, if you manage to get a budget of, let's say, $1,500 a month, I mean, you can get much more value, for $1,500 a month in Romania than you could get for, say, $3,000 a month in, South Dakota, North Dakota. But with $1,500 a month in Romania, you can actually live really well. If you consider how little money the locals make in Romania, and we're talking about $500 to $700 a month, if they have an average to good job, then with an income of 3 times of what the local person makes, I mean, you can really have a good life in Romania. Obviously, one of the downsides of living in Romania is, of course, that the winters are pretty cold. So I think it would be suitable for a person that wants a more diverse country. You want multiple climates, you want to have 4 seasons, you don't have any tropical weather in Romania, neither do you have tropical beaches. So it's for a person, that likes to live in very green places. If you like nature in Romania is pretty epic, has a lot of culture. If you want that and not a tropical beach lifestyle, I think Romania might be a good fit for you. Let's jump over to Southeast Asia and talk about Malaysia, a country that definitely offers a good amount of value. The local food is really good, pretty inexpensive, especially if you live on the island of Borneo. If you want to live in Sarawak or Sabah, you can really have a good meal outside for as little as $2 to $3. It's possible. If you want to live there in Malaysia, I would say a budget of $1,000 to $1,500 a month would most likely suffice. Again, won't be anything super lavish, but it would be a very comfortable life that you could live with that money. If you compare it to the West, with $1,000 to $1,500 a month, you cannot even get by with that money. You won't have much of a life at all. One of the downsides of living in Malaysia is, of course, the current visa situation. Yes, you can get a 90-day tourist visa, but the long-term visa situation has definitely gotten worse. And if you want to get the Malaysia My Second Home program, you can do that, but the requirements have quadrupled. We're talking income requirements, net worth requirements. So it has gotten more difficult in recent years. There are obviously easier ways to live in Malaysia on a permanent basis, and we're talking about marrying a Malaysian citizen. That would be easier. Potentially obtaining an EDU visa, an educational visa, would be one of the easier ways to stay in the country. But generally speaking, if you want to start a business or if you want to invest a large amount of money, it's just not so easy for the average person, especially considering that it's not super easy to become a citizen of Malaysia. In fact, in many cases, it is difficult to impossible to become a citizen. But Malaysia itself is, of course, a great country, right? I mean, people go there for the food, the weather, the beaches. Kuala Lumpur, very vibrant city, very magnificent. And, a lot of people want to live in Southeast Asia, and Malaysia offers one of the highest qualities of life in the region. Mexico, the country located in North America, is one of the most popular expat destinations around the globe. The good part about Mexico is, of course, the proximity to North America. So if you want to fly home, it's pretty easy to do. Oftentimes just a 2 to 3 hour flight, not so expensive to travel. It's the same time zone, right? There are a lot of commonalities for North Americans who want to reside in Mexico. The visa situation in Mexico is also pretty good. I'd say that it's pretty easy to get temporary residency. If you want to apply for temporary residency in your home city, wherever that is, you can do that through the consulate or embassy. Pretty easy to do. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm uploading new videos on digital nomad locations, travel updates, and investment advice several times a week right now. And if you got some more time left, check out these videos.